Barbershop Conversations, man. We got a special guest, man, all the way 3,000 miles away from Cali, man. Lou Dibella, how you doing, man?
Good to be with you, bro.
I appreciate you, man. So, Sergio Devin, first of all, how are you doing? I watch your Lou Dibella digest, but maybe some of my subscribers don't watch that. So, how's everything with quarantine business?
Man, I've been working my ass off. Lately. I got two minor league baseball teams, and we got negotiations going on with Major League Baseball. So I've been involved in that. You know, I don't got a platform, man, so I got to hustle. So I've been hustling. A lot of my fighters have seen action. I had a kid fight last night. Mark Reyes got a knockout on UFC Fight Pass. Sergey's fighting this weekend. I got Oshaki Foster is going to fight Mickey Roman on that new series, Ring City on NBC Sportsnet in November.
Okay.
So I'm hustling, when you don't got a platform, you got to really hustle. So a lot of my fighters, I've been able to keep them active, and I'm working women's boxing. I've been busy, but I can't do shows, man, and I can't do Broadway boxing, which has been my thing for almost 20 years now. The longest running grassroots boxing show on TV, and I can't do anything in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut right now. We're completely closed down, so it's a little frustrating. But a lot of people got it worse than I did, man. So I ain't gonna complain.
Yeah, because I saw one of your interviews. You was on the beach somewhere, so you are one of the fortunate ones that's still on the ground level.
Yeah, you got to try to keep living,
Yeah. So Sergio Devinchenko, man, third time's a charm or third time's a strike? Obviously, you going with third time's a charm.
I want third time's a charm. At least with the judges, I want third time's a
good
charm.
Luck.
If it goes the distance and Charlo legitimately wins, I'm cool with that, man. I know those guys since they're 17 years old. And by the way, third time's a charm, but he's got I know what Sergey's got in front of him. Miles a beast. So but Sergey is elite, man. He is a top level guy. I mean, he's right there with the Danny Jacobs and the Charlos and the Triple G's, and he's proved it already. And honestly, man, I was really, the Danny Jacobs fight, there was a flash knockdown early. I scored it. I had one round. I couldn't decide who won, and I had it close. But I thought Sergey may have squeaked it out, but that one didn't bother me as much as the Triple G one did, because I really thought he gave Triple G more than he took, man. When that fight was over and I was in the ring, not only did I think I won, but I looked across the ring and I think Triple G in his corner who won. You know what I mean? But the A side's got a big advantage in boxing, and the judging's been really weird, man, during this pandemic.
Right.
I got some interesting theories on that one too.
Oh, well, let's hear him. Let's hear him. I got time.
Look, the crowd. There's nothing evil about the fact the crowd's going to have an impact, right?
Yes.
And if like Bud Crawford's fighting in Omaha, or Paulie Malignaggi in the old days was fighting in Brooklyn, you get a little bit of advantage fighting at home, partially because the crowd's on your side and the judges hear it. But on the bigger fights that are more 50-50 kind of fights, like when they're in Vegas or they're in like this fight with Sergey and Charlo's on neutral territory, in Connecticut, when you're in neutral territory, the judges also do hear the crowd. And it's nothing evil about it, but that affects their judging, right? Now you take the crowd away, and what are you left with? You're left with the biases of the judging system, the biases that all favor the A-side fighter, the biases that relate to the ratings organizations, and sanction fees, and all that political shit. And the political shit has a huge impact, and the judging system's got to change, because I think one of the reasons why our sport suffers against UFC, but even suffers against other sports is, there are bad calls and bad decisions, but not like in our sport. Just, it's not, how many times have you seen a fight and it's a 1 or 2 point fight, and then the scorecards get read and it's like, 117, 111, 118, 110, and you're sitting there going, what were they watching?
Exactly.
And you feel like what happened in the ring, if it was going to go to distance, wasn't really going to matter because the outcome was sort of decided already. And man, I'm already in the Hall of Fame. I'm not a young kid anymore. Like I don't have I got other shit I do in my life. I got a production company. I work on a couple of baseball teams, but I still love boxing as a fan, and I want to see boxing restored, man, to being the sport of kings, to being what it was, even in the '90s when I was at HBO. And then when I was growing up, man, Ali was the man, and you got Ali and Frazier in the heavyweight division, and then you had the four kings with Leonard and Duran and Hearns, and we captured the sports world when we did big stuff. And right now, man, it's much more like we're a niche sport. And I think, the UFC guys want to think they did it to us, but they didn't do it to us. We did it to ourselves.
And how and why? Because the numbers aren't coming back. I mean, Bob Arum thought he was gonna maximize no sports and nobody's boxing. Steven Espinoza comes back to he's doing infomercial numbers. Sean Porter did 800,000 on Fox. What's the missing ingredient?
The realizing that you got to give people competitiveness all the time. You got to do the best against the best. And some of it, honestly, is there's certain pockets where you're getting a lot of good shit anyway, like the welterweight division. Al and PBC sort of have a corner on. So then, they haven't been shy because they're all on that side of the street. They're all on that lane to fight each other. Like I love Spence and Garcia coming off Spence's accident. That's sensational in my mind. I think it's a much more interesting fight now because we haven't seen Errol since he wrecked his car. And that's an interesting fight. But right now, the ESPN avenue, the PBC avenue, and what remains of the DAZN avenue, they don't cross over much, man. And the fights people want to see really don't happen very much. And I recognize the great ability of Bud Crawford, man. I recognize him as one of the best fighters in the world. I got to be honest with you, man. I don't remember the last fight of his. I don't remember a fight of his I was excited about. And right now, and there's none on the horizon either. I mean, Kell Brook, are you kidding me? I mean, Kell Brook has any chance? Come on, man. I mean, Kell Brook's got no chance to compete with Bud Crawford, in my view. So, there's, I think we need to put our best foot forward. Look, part of it's very easy for Dana White to do what he fucking wants to do. Because
it's a monopoly.
He's the king of that. Yeah, I don't know if it's not a legal monopoly, but it's a de facto monopoly. It's a market. It's a de facto monopoly. They have all the majority of the best talent, and you know what? It's their way or the highway. Sure. You don't want to fight a real fight, you don't fight. We got a lot of prima donnas in boxing. We got a lot of guys that'll take the money and run if it's offered to them. And then the system with the 3 separate exclusive deals. That makes it harder that kind of exclusivity affects a lot of shit. It affects not only the quality of the fights and not getting some of the fights you want. It affects the fact that, everyone complains. I think one thing that all boxing fans, no matter where their allegiances lie, recognize: too many fucking belts. Too many champions. Oof. Too many guys walking around with hardware, and you don't know who to fuck. If we in boxing don't know who the real fucking champion is, how are the casuals supposed to know anything? And by the way, you know what the casuals who like boxing a little bit know? They know enough to know that the titles don't mean shit. But when you have 3 separate avenues and everybody wants to see a title fight, the system as it exists is serving the boxing model as it now exists. And here's my hope, man. I hope that we can turn it around on our own, but we haven't shown any evidence that we can. And my biggest hope, if we're going to continue to decline at all, the one thing I'm always believing is that boxing ain't going anywhere. We're eternal, man. We're eternal the way combat sports are eternal because people have been fighting since the beginning of time. The same way pornography is eternal because sex will always interest people and fascinate them. They're always going to want to see it. So we're not going away. But if we're going to rise again, we gotta make a lot of changes. And if it means we got to bottom out first, then maybe we got to bottom out first.
Do you think? Are we at the bottom, or is it, or are we seeing Showtime say fuck boxing, and then maybe NBC picks it up, or are we